4. I am Ainan Lubem. Welcome. First, let's talk the headlines. On the headlines, Buhari orders ministers' appointees to resign. Still on the headline, Libya wants rival PM to work from Sirte amid row. Still on the foreign scene, Hungary first female president takes office. On sport, NFF set to announce new Eagles coach. And now the news in detail. President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered all members of his cabinet and appointees vying for electoral offices to resign on or before May 16, 2022. The order came at Wednesday's Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by the President at the Council Chamber of the State House in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Minister of Information Lai Mohammed disclosed this to State House correspondents shortly after the meeting. Cabinet members affected includes Ministers of Transportation Rotimi Amechi, Niger Delta Minister Goswill Akpabio, Labour and Employment Chris Ngige, Science, Technology and Innovation Ogbonnaya Onu, Minister of State for Education Emeka Wanjuiba, Justice Minister and Attorney General of the Federation, that is AGF, Abubakar Malami. Others include the Minister of State, Mines and Steel, Uche Ogar, who is running for the governorship position in Anambra State, Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talen, who declared her ambition to contest the senatorial seat in Plateau State. And still talking political matters, the Nigerian Senate has amended Section 84, subsection 8 of the Electoral 2022, which will enable statutory delegates participate in political parties, congresses and conventions. The current version, which was assented to by the President Muhammadu Buhari in February this year, prevents statutory delegates from taking part in party primaries. Statutory delegate includes councillors, local government chairmen and lawmakers, governors and their deputies, president and vice president, political parties, national working committee members, state party chairmen, and secretaries. The Red Chamber amended the clause after considering a bill sponsored by Deputy Senate President Omo Ave Agege during plenary on Wednesday. The amendment will allow statutory delegates, in addition to the delegates elected by various political parties, vote during congresses and conventions to elect candidates for various political parties. Speaking after passing the bill, the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, said the unintended clause had to be amended before commencement of party primaries. He said the House of Representatives would also pass the same amendment on Wednesday before transmitting it to the President for assent latest next week. He said the amendment became imperative to ensure that no one is denied his rights during political parties' activities. Nigeria's House of Representatives has passed an amendment to the Electoral Act 2022 to recognize a statutory delegate at primaries, congresses and conventions of political parties. The passage was in concurrence with the Senate, which had earlier on Tuesday held an emergency session to correct what the House called a fundamental error. The National Assembly passed the bill for the act while the President, Muhammadu Buhari, signed it into law. Also, Clerk to the House, Yahaya Danzaria, had issued a notice on Tuesday recalling members from recess to reconvene for plenary on Wednesday, though sitting was adjourned till May 24, 2022. The notice had partly read that the session had become necessary, especially as to amend a fundamental error in the Electoral Act. While political parties are close to conducting primaries to elect candidates for the 2023 general elections, the Act did not provide for members elected into public offices and executives of the parties, known as statutory delegates, to participate and vote in the conventions, congresses, or meetings of parties. Resuming from break on Tuesday, the Senate amended Section 84, subsection 8 of the Act, passing the first, second, and third reading at a sitting. The Independent National Electoral Commission, that is INEC, has turned down the appeal for an extension of the deadline for the conduct of primaries by political parties. The country's 18 registered political parties, through the Inter-Party Advisory Council, that is IPAC, asked the Commission to review its timetable and schedule of activities to afford member parties enough time to put their houses in order. The body's appeal, made at a quarterly meeting with the INEC chairman, Mahmood Yakubu, came days after newsmen reported the moves by political parties to extend the dates by another 37 days. Yakubu, on two different occasions last week, reiterated the Commission's stance of not changing its June 3 deadline for the primaries of the 18 political parties. In compliance with the new Electoral Act, the Commission fixed April 4 to June 3 for the election of flag bearers of all political parties for the 2023 elections, after reviewing its schedule for the 2023 general elections in Nigeria. Against the schedules, IPAC chairman Yabagi Sani, before leaders of other parties, noted the celebrations of Easter and Eid al-Fitr, that is Salah holiday, among their reasons for seeking a deadline extension. When we return, news from other parts of Africa. Don't go away. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. You're still watching news from World Now at 4. West African countries Ghana and Togo have started a historic initiative to revive their fast disappearing border markers in the face of rising insecurity and cross-border crimes in West Africa. Officials in Ghana say the construction of the boundary pillars has become necessary, given some of them which have either eroded or been removed by vandals. The century-old markers were last repaired in the 1970s. Authorities say the latest move is to stop border encroachment and could also help address Ghana's long-standing maritime disputes with Togo in the Gulf of Guinea, although size could put them on the wrong side of the border. Experts from the two countries are expected to construct 50 new international boundary pillars along a 40 kilometers, that is 25-mile stretch. Some parts of the land borders between Togo and Ghana are seamless, with communities from both countries mixing together for social and economic activity. Although there have been some communal tensions in the area. Away from Ghana now to Libya, where Libya's eastern-based parliament has said it wants the government it appointed, Bashaga, to be based now in the coastal city of Sirte. The announcement is the clearest acknowledgement yet that Bashaga cannot yet take over in Tripoli. Libya has been split between two opposing cabinets after parliament in the east elected Bashaga as the new prime minister in February. The country's incumbent prime minister Abdul Hamid Deiba, who is based in the capital, has refused to hand over power without an election. Both men are supported by armed factions, and its feared hostilities between the two could ignite a new round of conflict. Libya has experienced repeated violence since Muammar Gaddafi was removed from power in 2000. We now move to other parts of the world after this break. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now to news from other parts of the world. Veteran Palestinian-American journalist Shirin Abu Akleh has been killed while covering a raid by Israeli forces in the occupied West Bank. Reports from her medium said Shirin Abu Akleh was shot deliberately and in cold blood by Israeli troops in Jenin. Her producer was also wounded. Israel's prime minister said it was likely they were shot by Palestinian gunmen during an exchange of fire. It comes amid a surge in violence between Israel and the Palestinians. The Palestinian president said he held the Israeli government fully responsible for what he described as a crime of execution. Shirin Abu Akleh was known to millions for her coverage of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Shirin Abu Akleh, 51 years, was widely known and widely admired by viewers and colleagues alike. Early on Wednesday morning, she went to the Jenin refugee camp to report on a raid by Israeli soldiers and security forces, which the Israeli military said was conducted to apprehend terrorist suspects. The Palestinian Health Ministry said Abu Akleh was hit in the head by a live bullet during the raid. She was taken to hospital in critical condition and later pronounced dead. Another Palestinian journalist, Ali Samouda, was shot in the back and was in stable condition in hospital. And now to Hungary, where Hungary's first female president, Katalin Novak, took office recently. Findings show that the parliament elected Novak as president of Hungary on March 10 following her election. Novak said that she wanted to be a president of peace. The official inaugural ceremony will reportedly take place on Saturday morning at the Kossuth Square in front of the parliament. According to reports, she was elected to the mostly ceremonial role by 137 votes to 51 in the parliament, dominated by Orbán's right-wing Fidesz party, ahead of opposition challenger Peter Rona, an economist. Novak has been elected for a mandate of 5 years and can be re-elected once according to the fundamental law. When we return, more stories on business. Welcome back, and now to business stories. A new report by the Nigerian Economic Summit Group and the Open Society Initiative for West Africa has disclosed that Nigeria and 10 other economic community of West African states countries, that is ECOWAS, are currently in debt distress based on debt sustainability analysis. The 10 other countries are Benin Republic, Burkina Faso, Cabo Verde, the Gambia, Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Niger, Senegal, and Togo. The report, titled Debt Management Restricting and Sustainability in ECOWAS, was recently launched at the Debt Management Office in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. According to the report, a financial crisis in Nigeria can threaten other countries in the ECOWAS region. The report read in part that according to the debt sustainability analysis, 11 ECOWAS countries, Benin, Burkina Faso, Senegal, and Togo, are currently in the distress. However, the remaining 4 countries, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, Mali, and Sierra Leone, are at low risk of debt distress. It was further disclosed in the report that public debt accumulation in the region is unsustainable, and the need to address and avert the looming debt crisis is emphasized. Nigeria's total public debt stock increased to 39.56 trillion naira in 2021 from 32.92 trillion naira in 2020, according to the Debt Management Office. While the country borrowed about 6.64 trillion naira in 2021, it spent about 2.93 trillion naira on debt servicing payment in the same year. Still talking business matters, Ethiopia's state-owned telecom operator has introduced 5G mobile network in the country. Ethiopia, which began in the nation's capital, Addis Ababa. The state-owned telecom hopes the move will give it an edge over upcoming competition, a consortium of international telecom providers entering the country's lucrative market for the first time. The move also gives residents in selected places in Addis Ababa the chance to get 5G mobile networks on their mobile phones with data speed 20 times faster than their current 4G networks. Ethiopia had closed its doors for international telecom providers until it introduced measures to liberalize the sector, selling a service license last year for a consortium led by Kenya's telecommunication giants. A government proposal to partially privatize the telecom company by selling 40% equity share capital of the company was postponed indefinitely last March due to what it called global and domestic fast-moving macroeconomic changes. Still talking business matters, the rate of price increases in the United States eased slightly last month as cost for petrol, used cars and clothing slipped. The annual pace of inflation was 8.3% in April, down from 8.5% in the prior month, the Labor Department revealed. It also revealed that it marked the first decline in months, but the rate of price increases remained at multi-decade heights. The cost of groceries, housing, and items like airline tickets continue to rise, putting pressure on policymakers to rein in the increases. President Joe Biden earlier addressed the issue in a speech, saying that bringing down inflation was his top domestic priority. The U.S. Central Bank earlier this month announced its biggest interest rate rise in 22 years, hiking by ½ percentage point in an effort to tackle the issue. Analysts said they had expected the report to show a bigger slowdown in price acceleration. Still to come on World Now at 4, it's sports. Stay.
A warm good evening to you and welcome to Sport News on World. I'm Richard Badung. On Sport News today, just to let you know, and on solid ground, of course, succeeded. First in Dakar and then in Cairo. The two elimination tournaments already began on a high note. The final phase will be held in Kigali, Rwanda. And Amadou Gallo Fall, the president of BAL, said the feedback received after these two stages are positive, and then a lot of commitments at the level that matches are broadcast in 215 countries around the world, and hundreds of millions of fans are engaged through social networks and digital platforms. According to the president of Africa's share, a much victory over John Isner at the French Open title back on track. Third seed Nadal players in action later today is British #1 Cameron Norrie, who begins at Roland Garros. Still talking sports, former New Zealand captain Brendan McCullum sees a more South African India coach Gary Kirsten, who was thought to be favourite for the Test job. McCullum, who retired from playing in 2019 has never coached in first-class cricket, but played end of the month AFCON qualifying match against Sierra Leone coming up. This was according to Nigerian Football Federation of Sports. Portuguese coach Jose Peseiro is believed to be favourite for the job, having had an agreement in principle with the federation before that was cancelled. Other contenders including Philip Cocu, Ernesto Valverde, who coached Barcelona, Nigerian Football Federation VAZU latest on Thursday. And that's your sport news on World Now at 4. Back to Lubem for the rest of the news. I'm Richard Badung.
My name is Joel Idajile, the winner of Naija Boss Factor Season 1. This is not something you come casually. Come with your A game, come for it. And Season 2 is up. Those of you that didn't enroll, I'm sorry, you have missed out.
Thank you, Richard Badung. Well, leading to the barrack after an